right, I will kick us off. Thank you everybody for joining us. Really excited to share what the climate research team has been working on for the past year and a half, something like that. I know we've come to this advocacy hour a couple of times before to share kind of what we've been working on, but we are officially launching our website, so you all can go ahead and access that information without going through us. Yeah, so we're going to start by going through some background of what our team is and what we're trying to do, and then we'll give you guys a demo of the website and show you how you can access it for yourselves. You're going to go ahead, I think 2 slides. Oh, wait. 1 more slide. Oh, sorry. Back 1. Aha, okay, thank you. Got some background facilitating there. Okay, so who is our team? So we're a team of volunteers, fully dedicated to being supported by Emma and Corinne. They're amazing and have done so much for our team. But what we are trying to do is empower municipalities to take climate action, equitable climate action, through community organizing and education. So the ways that we do that are mostly what we've been sharing with you all, which is research and documenting community actions. So we'll go through some of the detail, but any actions that municipalities can take for climate change, there are some that are specifically targeted at municipalities. There's some things municipalities can do to sort of push state legislation as well. We try to make that really easy to understand for everyone. So both for municipal leaders who will be making the legislation and also for organizers who want to push their municipalities to do some of these actions. And part of that is also doing education and outreach, and hopefully developing a sort of climate-driven municipal network. So helping folks connect to other municipalities who are doing the kind of thing that they want to do and learn from their peers and their neighbors. All right, so as promised, we're going to talk a little bit about those municipal actions, and I'm going to pass it to Corinne to do that.
Cool, thanks, Mallory. Yeah, so I'm just going to run through some of the actions that are summarized on our site and why we have chosen those actions to summarize. Emma, could you take us to the next one, please? Awesome, thank you so much. So as you can see here, there are some big differences between what types of activities emit a lot of greenhouse gases. So for Massachusetts, the big ones are transportation, electricity, and how we run our homes and businesses. So these aren't the same as some of the big contributors nationwide, like industry and agriculture. So we are focusing on what Massachusetts needs to work on and how we can get there. So that's what you'll see here. And then Emma, could you go to the next one, please? So based on those categories of where Massachusetts specifically can improve, we've created this list of different actions that municipalities can take to address all of those different areas. So our categories are, as you can see, municipal leadership, which is like the structures that municipalities have put in place in order to accomplish climate goals, such as becoming a green community or hiring an energy manager. Accessing renewable energy, so doing something like installing a municipal solar plant, transit, buildings and efficiency, and plastics and waste, which is not one of like the biggest emitters, but it is an inherently local issue because it varies from municipality to municipality. So why are we looking at things from the municipal level? Municipalities are important for several reasons. They're directly accountable to and easily accessed by their constituents. So it's easy for residents to make their voices heard and also to see those changes happening in real time. And also municipalities have the ability to engage residents in ways that are more accessible and interactive than the state might be able to, because those actions might affect residents' daily lives more directly. Municipalities can take actions that make the most sense for them. So something like, getting an electric bus might not make the most sense for a rural community, but it might for a really urban community. So this way municipalities have the option to choose and make the most impact. And also, when a lot of municipalities take the same action, it can push the state to mandate that action. So for example, there's been a push in Massachusetts to outlaw single-use plastic bags. And that's something that a lot of municipalities have already done, and we might see it at the state level at some point in the future because of that work. Okay, and then continuing on, one of the most important pieces of this work is making sure that we're always centered on equity and environmental justice. So environmental justice is the idea that everyone should have a healthy and safe environment to live, work, and play. And unfortunately, currently that is not the case in Massachusetts or in the rest of the country. So for example, there are things like communities where the water or air are polluted and it's connected to high cancer rates in that community. Or a local Massachusetts example is East Boston, where they have both the airport and also a lot of fuel storage that contributes to high asthma rates on already overburdened communities that deal with things like racism and poverty and all of the co-occurring conditions that come with those things. And because of the way that we treat other people and communities, we're essentially calling them disposable. And we just simply cannot address the climate crisis if we continue to think about other people and parts of our environments in that way. So environmental justice is the same thing as climate action, and we cannot properly address any of our goals without considering environmental justice. And we need to do this on both a municipal and a state level. So on a state level, Massachusetts has always favored wealthy white folks in its climate legislation because those are the people who make the legislation. So for example, things like clean heating loans are not actually accessible to people in low and middle income brackets. And also municipalities are not the ones necessarily creating the major problems, but they do have a role in enforcing and in solving those things through policies such as zoning and deciding where we could put waste and polluting infrastructure. Historically, those have all kind of negatively affected overburdened communities, but municipalities do have the power to change that. So when we're working at the local level, we have the opportunity to consider everyone in our community and to build a more inclusive future. And without that, we won't be able to address the climate crisis. So I just wanted to put that out there as we're looking at all of our work.
All right, great. So we're going to sort of prep you for our demo now. Folks who were with us last time have already heard this case study, but we just want to touch on it one more time. So our example that we're going to talk through for our demo is Falmouth, which is a town that has actually done many of the climate actions that we recommend, but they've done them more recently than some of the other municipalities that we looked at. And interestingly, they're a little bit unique because their resiliency plan sort of came before a lot of their emissions reductions measures because they're in such a high risk area for flooding. Resiliency is really what drove them to a lot of the actions that they're at today. So Falmouth sort of started with an energy committee in 2001 and then created a climate action plan out of that. Then took a bit of a turn towards the resiliency planning and only recently became a green community, which is very common. Most municipalities in Massachusetts are green communities. And if you take a look at our website later, you can read all about what a green community means and how municipalities can do that if they are not doing that yet. Okay, why don't we jump into the demo?
Cool. Thanks, Mallory. So I'm gonna switch tabs over here and yeah, so let's pretend we're Falmouth. To start, we have this little drop down and I'm gonna go through here and find Falmouth. And so what's really neat is, yeah, we can see all this information that we've collected about Falmouth. And yeah, it's all here. So just sort of briefly how the website itself works. So yeah, you've already done, if you live in Falmouth or you are Falmouth, you've already done many of these actions. You're taking on a new climate action. So you want to look for inspiration from a municipality like you, let's say on Cape Cod. And one similar neighborhood on the Cape is Barnstable. So now let's go and look at Barnstable. We find it here in our dropdown. And so for example, Falmouth and Barnstable have many similar programs already in place, but Barnstable recently voted to create a net zero greenhouse gas emissions goal. Also, I apologize if you are having trouble hearing me. There's a train nearby. Sorry. Anyway, so Falmouth has not yet made this resolution, but might be interested in learning more. So using our database, they can look at the conversation that leaders in Barnstable had when creating this net zero goal. So let's see, let me remember here where that is. And let's see. Mallory, I might.
It should be in leadership.
Leadership, thank you. Okay, so oh yes, here's our local resolution, net zero goal. So we can click on this link right here, and now we see this. So I'm gonna scroll. I'm gonna jump ahead to page 7 because I already know that's where I'm looking, and that is where we see the net zero. Here it is. The policy to reduce net greenhouse gas emissions. So we can literally read their conversation here. We see that the motion passed. That's really exciting. And so now if Falmouth wants to learn more about net zero bylaw language, they can go to the resources tab of our website to learn about the language from other communities. So here we are in resources, and here's example bylaw language and net zero examples. And here's just 4 that we've pulled out of the many that exist that they might click on to look through. So that is that. And I think I pass it back to Mallory, maybe, or Corinne. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, thanks so much. If you can scroll up to the top of the website just for a second too. I just want to give people a little bit of an idea of what they would get when they go to the website. So it's masstownsforclimate.org. Much debate was put into what to call this. So hopefully that's memorable. And then we have a landing page that gives some background about who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. You can access the database from the top. You can also access those resources that you just saw. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit, and that will give you some background, different toolkits, different funding programs. And then we also have a glossary. So if you're looking at the list of actions and saying, I have no idea what some of these mean, totally fair. We have information for you on what all of these are, and you can click through them. And then we also have a section on environmental justice, giving a bit of a background on what environmental justice is, what it means at the national, state, and municipal level. And then also links to the interactive maps. You can see what EJ populations are in your municipality. And you can also access a few resources, some suggested resources for if you're a municipality and you want to make sure you're considering environmental justice in your policies. So that is the website. Please check it out. Share with all of your contacts. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one thing, the case studies. We also have a handful of case studies. So if you want to get a little deeper into a few of these towns, we've had some amazing volunteers write up case studies that talk about some of the background a little more nuanced than we have in the database. So these are great resources just to learn about communities that are all in different stages of their action planning. Okay, awesome. Do you want to take us to our team activities slide? Okay. So just again, want to recognize the volunteers who worked so hard on this in the past year. We have just over 140 municipalities in the database now. There are 351 municipalities total in Massachusetts. So we're going to keep working on that. We also have been here twice doing education, and we've done some advocacy while we're working on that research, doing outreach to municipal leaders to get them engaged on the climate plan and also on some key issue letter writing campaigns. If you're interested in what we're doing next, we are hoping to expand our database. Again, we want to get to more of those municipalities. We have most of the population of Massachusetts, but that doesn't mean we have every municipality. So we want to keep going there. We're going to start digging into the data a little bit to try to see some trends, try to identify what actions we should be focusing on with our education, our advocacy, and we also want to work on our environmental justice research as well and find better ways to document that. On the advocacy side, we really want to work on that municipal leader network that we talked about. We've talked to many people about this along our way, and what they said is they always want to know what their neighbors are doing. So we want to make sure we're able to connect those leaders so that they can learn from their peers. Okay, I'll switch to our next slide. So if that appeals to you, we're always looking for new people. If you know anyone who that might appeal to, please tell them to come to our next meeting. That's next Wednesday at 6. And you can reach out to Emma or me or Corinne, and we can get you connected. We're really excited for where this work is going to go next and taking this great resource and getting it in the hands of people who will use it to take action. All right. Also, if you have any questions, we would love to take this.
Well, how do we get on the list to get the Zoom information for the meeting next week?
If Emma can take you down, or you can email Emma, either way.
I will email her.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sarah, I saw your hand next.
Yes, Emma, I contacted you a few weeks ago about my alumni club's upcoming talk on climate change in Massachusetts. And I want to mention the climate research team's activities as a potential resource for people if they want to take actions so they can develop a roadmap for their towns and cities. And you said they should contact you, but now should I just refer them to the website of the climate research team? Or send them to you? What would be better?
Sorry, there was a train going by. Feel free to do either. You can definitely have them start directly with the website, and if there's more information that they aren't finding, they can reach out to me, or on the website there's also an email address that folks can contact that we'll be checking regularly.
Okay. Great.
And yeah, thanks, Sarah. And Celia?
Yeah, hi, that was great. Thank you very much for all that information. I just had 2 quick questions. Who's going to have, or who does have accessibility to this website? That's number 1. And then number two, do you have any particular plans on, letting people know that this service is available to them? And if so, what is that?
Yeah, so the website is fully public and accessible by anyone, anywhere. So you can share that link around to anybody. They can use it. They can email us if they have questions. In terms of what we're doing to get it out there, at the end of October, we're targeting an event just for municipal leaders. So we have a huge contact list. Part of the information in the database is the contact information for every municipal leader. So that helps us contact them, but it also helps you. If you see something that you want to change, you can just email them or call them immediately. So we're going to reach out to all of those folks and do a session like this that's meant just for them.
Do you know any more details so that we could encourage our sustainability coordinator to attend or?
We do not know details yet, but that's a great call out. We will make sure that we include that information in an email to everybody so that we can get our advocates pushing their leaders to attend.
That's good.
I just want to take a quick moment while we have a small pause in conversation to recognize a few of our volunteers who made this website possible. Luis is on this call. Luis, if you want to wave. Luis has been instrumental in this website. I also want to recognize Andrew, who's on this call. He's been helping out a little bit. And I would really love to recognize Jan, who she's the magician who made the database portion of this website possible. We really could not have done this without you, Jan. Thank you so much. We're very grateful. And finally, I also want to recognize Jacob Stern, who is on this call, former staff member with the chapter, and kicked this project off and helped start the team. And really, really grateful for you as well, Jacob. Yeah, thank you all. And yeah, back to questions now, but just wanted to take a moment to recognize folks.
I'm just going to jump in quickly because no one's speaking up. This is really amazing to see in this current form. This is something that was so requested. So many people approached me over the 4 or so years at Sierra Club and asked for something like this. And now that it exists, I think it's just going to be invaluable. I don't have a question here, unfortunately. Because I spent so much time thinking about this, I'm just in awe. But I think like the challenge is twofold. It's going to be maintaining and keeping data fresh because things change every minute, and then making people aware. I expect that once people start to become aware of it, it's going to catch on quickly.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in also. Sorry, I've got my camera off. I'm Deb. I'm the state director here in Massachusetts. And I was on a call this morning with a bunch of people working on kind of coordinating legislative strategy for this session. And there were a bunch of municipal activists on, and they were all talking about how do we get the information out to the municipal people across the state. And I said, we have a volunteer team for you. So anyhow, I agree, Jacob, this is going to take off. This has been something that as people across the state have been crying out for a long time. And in fact, the question was, should we put something into a bill to make the Baker administration do this, which maybe or maybe not, but in the meantime, we're actually filling in that gap. So thanks again, you amazing volunteers, and Jacob for this great work. And Emma and team, yeah, just amazing. Corinne, thank you so much, all of you.
I don't know, Deb, do you want to mention that the toxic group is thinking about doing this kind of research? I see that you have included plastics, single-use plastics, and you've included compost. We've gathered, one of our members has gathered a lot of information about artificial turf, the amount of it around the state and where. And, you know, we were thinking of doing also pollinator, you know, things that towns might have done. So I don't know if, I guess we'll do our own, but we could certainly add it on at some point and come up with a big mega thing.
Thanks, yeah, Maria. We're very early in the conversation, but we have been speaking with Emma.
Very
and her team.
early.
No, but we have been speaking with Emma and her team about kind of using the same database format for this. And it would be similar to this work in terms of, you know, what communities have taken what kind of actions. For instance, very few communities in Massachusetts have taken action 3-year moratoria on new turf fields in their town. Things like that. You know, again, municipalities, if they knew that that kind of a tool existed, they might be able to stop it in their community. So we're hoping to expand. But, you know, this team has done such an incredible work on climate action. We didn't want to conflate one team with too much work. So while it may live in the database publicly, it'll be 2 different teams doing the research. And people can be on both teams if they'd like.
I think just to jump on that, I don't know if you're about to, but we're going to have a version 2 and version 3 and multiple versions of this, and keep hearing from folks about, things that we should add, information that we should add. So definitely keep telling us, email us. That way we can keep a good list and really think strategically about what new information we're putting on there.
Yeah, thanks, Mallory. I'll just say, and Natasha, I see you have your hand raised. Just one moment. That really, this tool will be the most valuable if we have input from folks around the state about what resources and what information they need. So please do not be shy in terms of reaching out about something that you'd like to see added. Even if we can't do it immediately, we promise we'll add it to the list. Yeah, Natasha.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I was on the Bourne Bridge with XR demonstrating, and this guy was from Worcester who put the climate emergency in. And I'm like, oh, so tell me, while I'm holding the sign, tell me all the steps that you did to get a climate emergency in. So I'm wondering if we could, have some quick little videos of people who've done these things. Because he said, oh, you have to make sure there's enough support and start doing petitions. And I'm like, how do you do a petition during COVID? You can't barely get people together. So I just thought maybe as an idea, have sort of people who can talk on a 5-minute video what they did in their town and how you could share information. And because I learned a lot in just those few minutes of like, oh, this is a bigger deal than taking some kind of document that another town did and try to ram it through town meeting or something like that.
Yeah, thanks, Natasha. That's a great idea. Definitely, we'll keep it in the back of our pocket. Celia.
Yeah, I just was wondering, does it make sense for I mean, if I know some people that are in the administration of Arlington, for instance, to run it by them and see if A, forgotten anything, or B, do they want to add anything or that kind of thing, and collect that for you and then just give it to you, Mallory?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
We definitely want to get recommendations from the leaders of different municipalities.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Question, Mallory or Emma, of the towns that have not undertaken any initiatives yet, have you found any reasons why? Is it that people are just not interested, or no one has stepped to the plate yet, or they can't afford it? Has anyone come forward as to say that they can't do it?
We don't have any definitive research yet, but I can tell you anecdotally what I think the case is. A lot of times, honestly, it's really hard work. Even to get the grants to do the work often takes a lot of prep. So when we're working with municipalities that maybe don't even have anyone who's fully staffed, let alone someone who is staffed just to do climate work, it's a lot to ask. The Green Communities program, a lot of folks do it, but it takes a lot to maintain those records, to do all the research to baseline where your community is at. So yeah, I think that's where we see the biggest issue for municipalities to get started.
I also just want to talk a little bit about Natasha's question about organizing your communities. And that's like that's a piece that, doesn't need to live on this website. I'm not sure that it will, but I do, like a couple of years ago, I had Pete Dunbeck, who organized to pass a climate action plan bylaw for Westboro. I had him write an article for the annual Sierra magazine about what that process was, going to the climate, going to the different planning boards and writing up the different slide decks and getting the different information. And I think that that's definitely something that we need to, it's a tool that we need to give people just to help them understand, like, oh, I want to pass a climate resolution, an emergency resolution in my town. What does that look like? Because there are actual kind of playbooks to get it done equitably and fairly and productively in your town. So that's something that we hope to put together. Not sure which team will do that, but it's definitely something that's needed. And I thank you, Natasha, for raising that.
When it goes from the planning to the implementation, I'm just curious about the financing for implementing the plans.
Yeah, so in the, I want to say the resources section. In the resources section, we've linked all of the funding that we can find. I think state level, the state has actually done a pretty great job making that funding easy to find. So there's funding for all types of different initiatives. Yeah, that's mostly it. A lot of, as I mentioned, the green communities come up a lot. That is the main funding mechanism that a lot of municipalities are using for these climate actions. Again, we tend to see municipalities that already have more money getting a lot of money through green communities. So it's not the most equitable source, but that is the biggest source for funding.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like that was a long enough pause for questions. Any last ones for us? Okay, thank you.
So amazing. This is just, you guys, I'm just so blown away. It's really amazing.
Thank you so much.
I wanted
Definitely
to
the
know
biggest
if,
thing.
will Jan be available to help the toxic group set up a similar thing?
I don't know if we're gonna share our resource, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I personally think that the toxics research could eventually live on this website as well as one place for people to go for information rather than directing them elsewhere. So Jan might be indirectly available to the Toxics team.
I have to just say my
We have
compliments.
to
because
get the information first.
My compliments to everyone on the climate research team. This is so beautifully organized, so thorough. It's totally amazing. Absolutely.
Thanks, Sarah.
And out of curiosity, about how many people were involved in doing this over the year and a half?
A lot. A lot of people. We've had definitely a core team of folks who have been with us for most of this project, but we have had so many volunteers who came in and were able to research one town or two towns. And yeah, we just had an amazing number of people who contributed.
Great. It's tremendous.
All right, great. Thank you so much. The greatest thing that you can do for us is share the website around. The second greatest thing is to tell people to come to our meeting. We definitely want some more people working on this, but thank you so much for sharing our excitement with us.